Hi, I'm Caitlin and welcome to my channel. This is my September TBR. I thought I'd do a little introduction to get us started. I'm Caitlin, I'm 26, I'm from South Wales and I'm a bookseller, which is very fun. And I buy a lot of books because of that, hence the stacked shelves behind me. So this is actually my return to YouTube. I had a channel a while ago, but I lost access to it and then all my videos are privated so you can't see them anyway. But yeah, I thought it's been a while now since then and it's finally time to make my return because booktube is something I love watching and I miss making videos about my reading habits, and I also feel it helps me read more and I could do with that right now. So what a perfect time. And to start us off, I thought I'd do my September TBR because they're some of my favourite videos to watch and it's very good timing because it's the end of August now. And also for this month is a little bit different. I usually do like a little bit of a TBR. Let me see if I can. I've got my journal in front of me, so I'll show you a month. Yeah, I usually have like a slightly smaller TBR that I kind of try and stick to. I'm a massive mood reader, so it kind of helps to have a smaller list of books, like hopefuls that I'd like to get to, but I don't often read them all. But in the months of April and September, I do the Orilium Readathon that G over at Book Roast created. So in that you pick a calling and then you read books to follow the prompts to get class grades for that calling. So it's like an academy that you're in to become this magical, well, to have this magical career. And the career I've chosen is Beast Quest. So this is the autumn equinox. April is the spring. In April you just have like a list of classes, and then in autumn you like get your grades for those classes, so you kind of go a bit deeper into the specializing of the subject. So there's 7 prompts for the challenge, or for my my calling in this challenge, but then I've also got 2 other books I want to read this month, and then a stack of possibilities is what I'm going to call them, of other books that are on my radar that I would like to get to sooner rather than later, but they didn't fit any of my prompts, so they're just like possible additional extras. PSA, I wouldn't read all of these in a month because there's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, there's 15 books here, and I kind of average on the like 8 or 9 mark of books a month. This month, August, has been my lowest reading month so far, so I'm hoping with this lovely TBR it'll hike me back up a little bit. But yeah, so I'm just gonna get into the prompts. So the first class that I've got to complete is Alchemy, and for that I've got to read 1 book to get the level O, which is Liquid Sunlight, with a book with a sun on the cover, and I've chosen Road Trip with a Vampire by Jenna Levine, which has a little sun just there. I really love this cover. I think it's so nice, and it's like one of those like matte papery covers. Like it's not, it feels like actual paper, well, card, rather than the shininess, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I really like the cover basically. And Jenna Levine, I've never read one of her books, but she writes predominantly vampire fiction, I think, or vampire romances. But this one follows Zelda and Peter, I think his name is, which is a very normal name for a vampire. We follow Zelda and Peter, and she is trying to get far from her magical chaotic past, which I think that has some kind of something to do with it. And then Peter has no memories. He has memory loss, so she's going to help him get his memories back by going on a road trip to, did it say where? Indiana. So we're going on a cross-country road trip to Indiana. They hit the highway, sparks fly, and the summer nights grow hotter. So yeah, just a fun, silly, goofy time I think I'm expecting from this. Nothing too serious, and that is what I love. I also thought this was very apt for the September month, well, going into spookier autumnal season. I kind of like to read a lot more fantasy then, so this was a great combination of the romance and fantasy in there. And this one comes out on the 25th of September, which is great because at least I can get to it kind of later in the month there. Next up then, I have the class of Animal Studies, and I've got to read 3 books for this one. The first one is to get the O grade, which is Hatchlings, a debut novel, and I have chosen The Wicked Lives of Habrin Faya. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Faya. Should have looked that up. By Anna Fiteni. And this one I'm really excited for because it's a dark fae romantasy inspired by Welsh mythology. The author is actually Welsh. I think she's from Cardiff, or she at least studied in Cardiff or has lived in Cardiff at some point in her life. Yeah, so very, very exciting. And yeah, it has some great buzzwords there with like fae, romantasy, and then the Welsh mythology side of things, which is what really intrigues me. I've not read a lot of Welsh inspired novels, or any, if that I can think of, which I feel as a Welsh person I probably should have read more. So this is a great place to start, and it's quite a nice small one to slot onto the TBR. I also love, I spotted this earlier, that the chapter headings are in Welsh and then English. I'm not going to try and pronounce them because my Welsh is atrocious, but yeah, I thought that was a really fun little addition to it, to add the Welsh in there. And I'm hoping that we get more Welsh thrown in to the actual story, because that would be really fun, and it's a language that I wish I spoke more of living in the country. But yeah, this sounds very intriguing. I don't really know much more than the fact that it's a Welsh mythology inspired fantasy, romantasy, but I kind of like going into fantasy knowing less, so that's going to be very fun. The next one for animal studies is Q, which is Baby Dragon Care, and that is to read a sequel, and I have chosen In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. So this is part of the Lovelight Farms, what they called, companion series. So there's 4 books and they each follow a season. So the first one, Lovelight Farms, was in like winter, and then this is autumn, which very fitting for September. And we follow Evelyn St James, who is an influencer, and Beckett Porter, who is a grumpy farmer. And they were, I don't remember Beckett, he probably was in the first one, but Evelyn was definitely in the first one. And yeah, he's from the small town, she comes back to the small town, and romance ensues, I'm guessing. But yeah, Grumpy Sunshine, which is one of my favourite tropes, and I'm starting to really love B.K. Borison's writing. I read the first one a few years ago, so I might have to reread it as a refresher possibly, but as it's a companion I probably won't need to, because they don't necessarily follow on. I think you could just pick and choose which one you want to read. And then the final one then for animal studies, which was D grade, is Elder Dragon Care, and that is to read the last in a series, or the most recently published in an ongoing series. And for that I've chosen Wisteria by Adeline Grace, which is the 3rd in the Belladonna series, 3rd and final in the Belladonna series. And Belladonna was a 5-star for me. I absolutely loved it. And then Foxglove, I think it was a 4, maybe even a 4.5 by the end, but I was really scared to get into that because of how much I'd loved the first one, and that's happening again because I really enjoyed the first 2. I've been putting this off for the longest time, so what better time to finish it. This one actually follows different characters, same world, and I'm assuming we're still going to get some of Signa and her love interest in there. Very excited to finally get to this one. Fingers crossed I do, because it's been on my, like, I keep picking it up and putting it on TBRs and never reading it, so definitely high on the priorities list. The next class I've got to take is Elemental Studies, and I'm just going to read one book for this one again, which is to get the O-level. Storm Call, water on the cover is the prompt for that one, and that I've chosen The Odyssey of Phoebe Quilliam, and that has lots of lovely water on the cover here, and a kraken, octopus, I'm going to say kraken because it looks giant and it's mythical. This one we follow Phoebe, whose grandmother Cass has passed on her love of Greek mythology to her, but Cass is slowly losing her memory and being taken by a horrible illness. Phoebe is swept up into this fantasy world where she has to help a young boy find his long lost father, and it's to do with the myth of Odysseus, King Odysseus. Yeah, and it's for Phantom Percy Jackson, which is obvious with the Greek mythology things. It's a kids book too, which is always fun to throw in there, and it should be a little bit easier to get through. Ooh, it had a little pronunciation guide. So this, I don't know much more than that. I don't really want to, but it sounds fun. I do love a kids book every now and then, and with the heaviness of the rest of the books on my TBR, like, there's a lot of them, they're chunky. This will be fun to get through, and this one's out on the 11th of September. The final class I need to take is Restoration, and I've got 2 books for that one. So for the O level I've got Unbroken Focus Tincture, and that is a single POV book. To Cage a Wild Bird by Brooke Fast. This is again a lovely proof copy. I'm not sure when in the month this comes out, but it comes out in September as far as I'm aware. I don't know a lot about this one. All I know is it's dystopian. And on the back, on the reviews, someone said they haven't been this excited about a book since the Hunger Games. But yeah, I don't know anything about it at all, apart from that. I don't really want to. I feel like going into it blind is probably the best way, especially because it's so chunky. So I have a lot to learn in there. It's like 400 pages. So very excited about this one, and I love this very cool exclusive book seller proof apparently, but the minimal vibe is very fun. And then the last book on my Orilium TBR is for the Q grade of Continental Remedies. I had to generate 5 random countries and then pick a book from one of those countries. And you'll have to believe that I did this because I filmed on my phone. And I did this on my phone earlier. So I put in 5 countries that I had books on my shelves from, and like the authors were from those countries, because if I'd done it for every single country it just would have been too vast. And the country that came up was America, which is a bit lame because there's more exciting countries to have chosen, but we go with it. And the book for that one is Soul Searching by Lila Sage, and Lila Sage, I'm 95% sure she's American. I'm sure it said somewhere that she's American, but if not, this is set in America, so we'll also take that. It's set in Wyoming. I don't know much about it. I think it's got some paranormal aspects. The main character, Collins Cartwright, can see or speak to ghosts up until recently, when we start this novel. And she moves back into her hometown where she rents a room from a local upholsterer called Brady Cooper. And yeah, romance things happen, but also paranormal spooky things, I'm hoping. But that sounds fun. Also, Brady Cooper is his name, and I'm gonna say Bradley Cooper every time I read that, definitely. But yeah, it sounds fun. And I've never read a Lila Sage, and that cover is absolutely gorgeous. It's kind of chunky as well. Again, it's like 350 pages. So I do like that I've managed to get a few smaller ones on the TBR there. So that was all of my Orilium TBR, but then I also have a few other books, well, 2 to be precise. So I've got, alongside G doing the 2 readathons in the year, she also does a Year in Aldia year-long challenge. This one's like a choose your own adventure, where you pick prompts based on which direction you're following. So my prompt for this month was to read a book with a light blue cover, and I picked Malamander by Thomas Taylor, which has a lot of light blue on the cover. I didn't have a lot of light blue covers. I had a lot of dark blue or navy, but not a lot of light blue, so I'm kind of stretching a bit with this, but I'm saying that that's light blue, and the back is predominantly light blue, so we're going with it. But this one is an Eerie on Sea mystery, so first in a kids mystery series, with a boy called Herbie Lemon, like Sherbet Lemon. And I think a lot of the characters in this also have like similarly kooky names to do with sweets, which is what drew it to me, honestly. He works in the lost and found of this hotel, which is really sweet. And then that's the hotel, which is our main location for the novel. But yeah, I don't really know much more about this. It's book 1 in a 5-book series, I think, which is exciting. Just a fun quick one. I think it'll be a quick one, to break up all the fantasy and romance and things on my TBR. And then the last of the ones I definitely want to get to is a book that me and my best friend have chosen to read together. We do this every month. We have like a little book club going on, 2-person book club, and we've chosen The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. We wanted to read any of Kristen Hanna, so we picked up this and then The Woman together recently when we went book shopping. This one just sounds a little bit more at my street than the other one. It's set in World War II. 2 women, sisters Vianne and Isabel, are separated by years, experience and circumstance, each embarking on their own dangerous path towards survival, love and freedom in war-torn France. A heartbreakingly beautiful novel that celebrates the resilience of women and the resilience of the human spirit and the endurance of women. So I do feel like I'm going to cry in this, and I've heard that about a lot of Kristen Hanna's books, but that's okay. We all love a cry. That is tiny font. Like, I'm talking small. Wow. Okay. But yeah, so I thought, no time like the present to start a Kristen Hanna. I do have a few of hers on my shelves now, so I really need to start getting through them. That is all of my definite want to get through, but I also have a stack of possibilities that I would like to pick up in the month if possible. So the first one I've got is Only You by Celeste Daniels. This is another one out in September. Doesn't say when, just says September 2025. All I really know about this one is that it features not time travel, like not resurrection, what is it, like when they've met in a previous life basically and they're meeting again, and now the main character Dani is having memories of her past with the main male character Jones. So I wouldn't really say that's time travel, but it's to do with time, and that is a trope that I really love. So I'm excited to see this. It says, I've met you before and I'll meet you again in this lifetime and the next. That's quite sweet. But I had this from a friend. She wasn't a massive fan, but because I like that trope more than she does, I'm hoping I will enjoy it more. And it also says on the back for fans of E. Schwab, who's one of my favourite authors. So I have high hopes for this one. Then another proof that's actually out in September is The Glorious Dead by Justin Myers. This one is out on the 18th of September. So slap bang in the middle there. And oh, he has a few books actually. I don't think I've heard of him before. And I don't really know a lot about this. It deals a lot, I think, with grief, and the main character, the character Laurie, has passed away, and it's about the people he's left behind: his husband Joe, best friend Vivi, and goddaughter Rosie. And they go through his unpublished memoirs to kind of help them with their grief of him passing. And yeah, I'm assuming we're gonna see some of that in there. So I wasn't expecting it. I think it's going to be sadder than I thought it was going to be. And I was expecting it to be a bit more paranormal for some reason. I don't know why. It's probably because I didn't read the blurb probably when I requested it. But I'm still excited, and I think getting into like the colder months, that'll be perfect timing for like slightly sadder fiction, because who wants to read sad fiction during the summer? Few more books left. I've got Murder at the Black Cat Cafe, and this one is translated from Japanese, and I've read like quite a few of the healing fiction subgenre of Japanese fiction, like Days at the Murasaki Bookstore, Before the Coffee Gets Cold, What You're Looking For Is in the Library. But this one is a murder mystery, and I've not delved into that side of Japanese literature, so that's going to be exciting. And in this one, it's the setting of the Black Cat Cafe, which is a known brothel, and a young policeman finds the body of a woman and the corpse of a black cat outside the brothel, and then has to solve the murder, I think. Tokyo 1947, this is it. So yeah, it's intriguing, and again, this time of year is perfect for a murder mystery. Sorry, I just spotted the fact that on each chapter heading, the cat moves places, which is fun. And it includes a novella in the back, so it's the short story of Murder at the Black Cat Cafe, but also a novella. So that is going to be very quick to get through, I feel, which will be good if I want some quicker books on the TBR, because the next one I picked is A Language of Dragons by S.F. Williamson, which is chunky, an extremely chunky fantasy. I don't know much about this at all, just that it's set in London 1923, and there are dragons. That's all I really know. Like I said, it's chunky, so I might not get to it this month, but I'm hoping I'll get to it sooner rather than later. And the last two books I've got are actually library books. So we've got When in Rome by Sarah Adams, which is a small town romance, I think. It does feel a little bit summery, so this will be for sooner rather than later if I pick it up. Because I kind of want to get into the more autumnal vibes of the rest of the stack. But yeah, so this, I don't really know much about it, just that I really want to read Sarah Adams because I've heard she's a great romance author. And then lastly, I have Illustrated Men by Jacqueline Wilson. I've read this before. I read this as a child. My copy's in the attic, so I was like, might as well just get it from the library. And I want to read this because I have the sequel, Picture Imperfect, and I can't remember enough of the first one before going into the second one, so I thought I might as well reread it. So of the actual TBR that I'm hoping to get through in the month, I have these ones. So the bottom lot is from the Orilium challenge, and then the top two were my other kind of prompts for the month that I like to get through. So a good mixture there of fantasy, romance, romantasy, sad fiction. But yeah, let me know if let me know what I should start with if you've read any of these, or if you've heard any good things about them. Let me know too. And feel free to follow along on my booktube journey. I'm hoping to make some more videos in the month about my progress reading these, so look forward to those. I'll also link my Instagram down below. That is also fairly new, but yeah, give me a follow again if you want to see more of this there. And then I'll probably do a wrap up at the end of the month anyway to tell you my thoughts about the books I do get through. So we'll see together if I manage to read any of these. Feel free to leave this video a like, and subscribe if you want to see more from me yapping about books. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again.